to Amanda Hall Psychic here on Moonstruck TV on A1R Psychic Radio. It's the very, very last show of the year. If you're in the Northern Hemisphere, it's Happy New Year's Eve. For here of us here in Australia, we've actually brought in the new year. It's Happy New Year to us here. So I want to open the show with, I really want to be a little bit selfish here and sort of say that can I ask everybody around the world to hold your hands, to pray, to send some loving, positive energy here to Australia as the country is burning at the moment. We are in a massive bushfire emergency here in Australia. Just about every state in Australia has got a bushfire or several of them burning out of control. We've only had a very small loss of life, of human life, and that's a good thing. But we've had tremendous devastation of homes, properties, and more importantly, probably our koalas. Our koalas, we've lost so many of them that they're sort of saying things like bordering on the lines of being extinct, and that would be a terrible thing. So I think, you know, if you can sort of just keep us in your prayers and send some positive energy and pray for rain maybe to put these dreadful fires out. It's been a very hard bushfire season here, and it's certainly not over by a long shot. I know there's been plenty of other weather events around the world, typhoons and cyclones and hurricanes and snowstorms and flooding, and, you know, we're not just alone here in Australia with our weather event, but I hope you'll continue to keep everybody in your prayers. So let's kick the show off for the last show of the year out of the US of A and our very first one here in Australia. And let's start with the Secrets of Tarot card of the week. Now, I'm really excited to say that it's the Seven of Swords. Now, this is actually the second highest card out of the tarot deck. So it's the highest of the minor arcana. It's the card of your plans, your hopes, and your wishes. So what an amazing card to have as we end the end of the year or the beginning of the new year and the beginning of a new decade, to be able to bring towards you your wishes. So be very, very careful what you wish for. I mean, I know a lot of people have a ginormous wish list and say, oh, I'd really like all this, 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 and this, and this, and this. But I think if we're really realistic, I think the most important thing that we should be wishing for is good health. If you've got your health, you've got everything. You know, if you've got your health, you've got the ability to go and earn extra money, you've got the ability to travel, to have a good life, to be able to tackle anything that life throws at you. But if you don't have your health, then it makes it 10 times harder for you to be able to maneuver your way through life. So when I see this card, even though it's our wish card, I always think of, wow, the thing that I would wish for everybody on the planet would be good health. Not so much to be wealthy, definitely to be wise, but I wish for them good health. So I hope that this helps you sort of set your New Year's intentions, if that's what you do, and you like to set your New Year's intentions of what you want to bring in this year. Make sure that you put your health and the health of those around you that are important to you at the top of your list. So it's a very, very interesting time astrologically. I know that we've just touched on briefly the weather events that are happening around the world, and I have my own theories on that. And, you know, and I'm a big advocate for global warming. I think we've all got to start listening to Mother Nature a little bit more and start taking some responsibility for the weather events that seem to be getting more intense around the world. Now, having said that, the astrological theme this week is half the 10 planets are actually sitting Capricorn. Now, the Capricorn energy is about big business, it's about earthiness, it's about grounding, it's about being able to take responsibility for the things in our lives that need attention. So this is where I feel that Mother Nature, you guys started to really start to get serious about looking after our environment and our general area around us. So we're going to go through the planets very quickly that are actually sitting in Capricorn. Now, I call it 10 planets. In those 10 planets, we include the sun and the moon, which are luminaries, but we kick off with Mercury, the planet of communication, is in Capricorn. So Mercury is the planet of communication. So he's asking us to sort of stand up and be counted, to sort of voice our opinion, to start to sort of conversations that we need to have in many different areas. Holding hands with the planet Jupiter, the opportunity and luck planet, the planet that sort of brings us plenty of opportunities, things that are new in our lives, the opportunity to expand and look into new horizons. Also holding hands with the sun, which is the planet of where the astrology signs are sitting at the moment in Capricorn, but this is where our ego and our drive comes from. So we've got the opportunity now to shine. We've also got the opportunity, I think, to make our voice be heard to the people in power and sort of say enough is enough. We need to make some changes. We need to do something different. We need to have conversations and really start looking at facts and figures around the world that how we can improve this amazing globe of ours. Then we have the sun holding hands with the planet Saturn. Now, Saturn is like the father figure, the disciplinarian. He's the one that waves the big stick and says, you've been a bit naughty, you've got to tighten things up, or you've got to make some changes here. And the final planet sitting in Capricorn is Pluto. Pluto is the planet of transformation and opportunity. So Pluto's telling us the things that we've done for a very, very long time and now no longer working. We need to go back to the think tank. We need to come back to the negotiation table. We need to look at different ways of handling the crises and things that are going on in our lives globally and also personally. So for many of us, this is going to be a very personal journey. We've got a lot of decisions to make. We've lives in the next 12 months. There may even be some family matters. There may be some legal or government situations that we need to address. So it's going to be a time of, even though it's a positive time and a time when we're really looking forward to the new year and the new opportunities and everything being fresh and sparkly and new, at the same time, there's a sort of a grounding effect with this that says, okay, I've got to make this year count. I've really got to make this decade count. It's a time of now where I really need to sort of, in a sense, grow up a little bit. I need to look at things on a more practical sort of level. I need to look at my personal budgeting. How can I cut costs? How can I make my money work for me better? How can I have a better work-life balance? And I think these are all the things that we're going to go into the new decade, all of us, considering and looking at and sort of saying to ourselves, well, okay, while it's great to work and it's really important to work hard and to achieve your goals, we also have to make sure that we have a balance in our lives, that we have a balance of family, we have a balance of having some downtime, of looking after our health, of making sure that we're eating properly, and very importantly, that we're making some sort of contribution to the environment around us. Even small things can make a big difference, just little things, by sort of looking at maybe bringing in some new recycling methods where you're reducing your waste. Your reliance on plastics and things like that can be a help. Looking at how much water we waste, just little things. If each person did one or two little things, it would make a huge difference to the planet. Now, we also have to be aware that we've got a nice aspect, or what they call a trine in astrological terms, we have the planet Uranus, which is the planet of the unusual and unexpected happenings, sitting in Taurus. So it's making sort of like a trine or a triangle aspect to all the stuff that we've just talked about in Capricorn. Now, I look at Uranus as being like the trigger. It's like we're going to ignite the match and set the fire underneath all these other 5 planets. So Uranus is going to create unusual opportunities and openings for each and every one of us to maybe have a different way that we approach things. Hopefully it'll get governments around the world sort of putting their thinking caps on and being a little bit more open to discussions and finding solutions. We can always hope for that. And we can always sort of expect that our voices will be heard a little bit more now as well. So I'd like to sort of also talk just briefly about New Year's resolutions. Now, for many of you, this is a time of the year where you get your little piece of paper out and your wish list out and you start creating all these amazing things you're going to achieve for the year. And it's like, yes, I'm gung-ho about this. I'm going to lose weight and I'm going to eat better and I'm going to sleep more and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to change my job and I'm going to do. And by the time we get to the end of January, well, it's like, what was that list? Oh, we've forgotten about that now. We're on to more important things, like we've got to get back to work and pay the credit card off that we spent over Christmas. So it's interesting how we all come up with these amazing ideas around the beginning of the new year of what we're going to achieve this year. So this year I'd like to sort of maybe shake it up a little bit and say to you, let's put 3 things on a list that you can achieve, not 3 things that are pie in the sky sort of stuff that are fairy images or wishful thinking or are never going to happen, but it sounds good when someone asks you what your New Year's resolutions are. Let's look at 3 things that we can achieve this year. And at the top of my list this year is going to be, I'm going to try and find another way to handle my part and my contribution of the environment. Now, a lot of my family used to call me a greenie or a way out wacky sort of person for many, many years, long before recycling was trendy. I was always recycling, always trying to find ways of repurposing something or not wasting things, because I just believed it was a waste of money to keep throwing things out in the trash, things that could be repurposed or reused or given to someone else that might need it, that will get use out of it and extend the life of the electrical product or whatever it may be. So it's been something that's been really close to my heart ever since I was a young child. Now, it's interesting because that's the top thing on my list this year of my New Year's resolutions, that I'm going to try and incorporate one more new thing into my little bit of my contribution to the environment. I don't know what that is yet, but I'll let you know when I work out what it is. I'm also sort of putting on my list this year to bring more work-life balance into my life. I've always been a workaholic, and it's sort of it's come to my attention that, maybe there's a little bit more to life than work, that, we've got to stop and smell the roses or the coffee occasionally and bring things more into a balance. Now, I'm not leaving the show. I didn't mean that. But I just think that we can all sort of schedule into, and what I'm going to do is put it into my electronic diary, that I'm actually going to schedule in downtime, time for me. So that'll be a biggie for me, because I started doing that with exercise last year, that I put it in like an appointment so that I made sure that I did it. So I'm going to start to sort of do a couple more things like that. So my third thing is to sort of obviously, continue on my journey of always, aiming for better health. I think we can all do that. And I think that's something that should be on everybody's list. But anyway, so getting down to our candle of the week, I chose the candle called Destiny. And the reasons why I did that, because we're starting a new decade, and, the year is coming to a close for many of us, and it's been a difficult 2019. It was a year of ups and downs and every other conceivable possibility in your life, where we had sort of lots of things that we all as individuals had to deal with. So I figured, let's sort of end the year and heading into the new year, let's try and create our own destiny. Now, I was watching a movie the other day, and don't ask me what the name of it was because I can't remember, but they were talking about things being fated, and things in our lives were the word fate. And it said it came from a word, fatalism. I'm not sure, I haven't researched it yet, but fatalism, and it was about bringing things into your life that were serendipitous, that, things just happen by, it's a happy accident or something that happens by coincidence, and that we all have the ability to control or guide our destiny into the direction that we want it to go, even though things do happen in our lives in a serendipity sort of way. It's how we handle that controls or shapes or gives the direction of our destiny. So I feel that that's really, really important. I know it was a Christmas movie that I was watching, and I thought it was a really powerful sort of message, and I feel that we can all share in that we all are responsible to be a little bit more responsible of our own destiny. So we're going to take our very first call, and it's Tracy in Manchester in England. Are you there, Tracy? Happy New Year's Eve, sweetie.
Happy New Year.
How can I help you, Tracy? Do you have a question I can work with, sweetie?
I just really want to know if you contact spirits, family spirits.
I do, sweetie, but we've got such a limited time on the show, I can't always guarantee we're going to get through to who you want to talk to. So do you have a question that I can answer for you?
I just really want to see if my mum and dad's okay.
Darling, they're always okay in the spirit world. I mean, that's one of the things I can guarantee. There's nobody that's ever come through to me and said they're having a rotten time over there, or they're not okay, or they're not in pain anymore, or whatever. So the answer to that is they're always okay. The thing is, we as human beings tend to think that we need to have some sort of sign or some sort of confirmation from our loved ones to know that they're okay. They are always okay. And one of the things I think we forget here as humans being here on earth is, on the other side, or, the spirit world, they don't always have some great earth-shattering message that they are longing to come through and share with us, most of the time, all as they want is to acknowledge that you know that they're there, that they'll give you a little sign like moving a photograph on a mantelpiece. They'll turn the radio on, they'll turn the television on, they'll turn the lights on. Or you can be out somewhere and you think you see something out of the corner of your eye and you look again and there's nothing there. Or a song comes on the radio that reminds you of them. These are the sort of connections that Spirit likes to make. They don't always have this earth-shattering message of, you know, something that they need to warn us about or happy to share with us about, you know, things that are coming up in our future. They just want to know that you know that they're around. That's the important thing to them. So I'm sure that your loved ones have sent you many messages over the time like that, that you've sort of thought, oh, yes, well, that was a coincidence, but it's not a coincidence. It is them letting you know that they're there. So has it been a couple of years now since Mum passed, has it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all she shared with me was it had been a couple of years. She didn't have anything else that she wanted to bring through. She just showed me a big 2, and I assumed that meant a couple of years since she passed.
Yeah. Shit.
Do you have a question, though, that's something that you really want answered, Tracy?
I don't know. I'm just not well, and I don't know, I just worried.
The only thing that I'm picking up, and I'm not even sure that this is coming directly from your mum, it's like since she's been gone, it's almost like you've put yourself in a vacuum. It's like you've stood still in time. It's like I feel I want to say to you now it's time to sort of get up, get out of bed, get off the couch, let's start living again, because I feel that's what Mum wants you to do. You know, she's just sort of, all she showed me was the 2. She didn't show me anything else. You know, it's not that she doesn't love you and she hasn't got anything to share with you. I think that's sort of the most important thing is she wants you to take the reins to your life again and start living, you know, do that in her honour. She was always, you know, the sort of person that believed in, you know, progress and moving forward. And I think that's what you can best do, Tracy, to honour her and to sort of, you know, reignite your life and stop worrying so much. You know, worry never changed anything, sweetheart. It doesn't make anything any better or any easier. All it does is give you grey hair and wrinkles.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, sweetie. Okay, we're going to go to Tabitha in Mobile in Alabama. Are you there, Tabitha?
I am. I'm here.
Mobile. How can I help you, Tabitha? Do you have a question for me, sweetie?
Is my dad coming through?
Darling, it's really difficult to sort of connect with somebody that quickly. Do you have a question that I can work with? Because they don't always sort of, you know, just jump on board because you're on the phone with me.
Right. Okay. Has he been around or is he around me?
Darling, they're always
Has he been through my life?
Darling, they're always around us and they always know everything that's going on in our lives. The most important thing that you've got to understand is that Dad sees everything that you do. Dad knows everything that you're doing, and I'm sure he has his own way of connecting with you on a day-to-day basis where, you know, he might move a chair, so you trip over it, you think, gee, I'm sure I pushed that chair in. How come it's out? Well, that would be Dad doing something that would get your attention. And I'm saying something obscure like the moving of a chair because I felt your dad, the energy that he shared with me was he liked to be different. He liked to do things that were different to everybody else, as if he was sort of getting attention that way. Is that how you saw him, that he always liked to stand out in the crowd?
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
definitely.
normally they show me something like they've moved a photograph or they've turned the lights on. No, your dad showed me he moved the chair out so somebody trip over it. So they sort of say, where the hell, who did that? I thought I'd put that chair away, as if he was sort of, making sure that you didn't miss the fact that he was there. Do you know what I mean? Like it wasn't just something that you just automatically took for granted, or we've had a flicker of the power, or that, everybody must have had that. No, Dad has to do something different. I feel he had a very cheeky energy when he was here on Earth, and it's certainly still sort of coming through now. He's also sort of sharing with me that it's time for you to sort of embrace your life again. He wants you to get cracking again with your life. So have you sort of been a little bit lax in sort of trying new things in this last 6 to 12 months, Tabitha? Okay, so it looks like we've lost Tabitha, but I'll continue on with what I was being given anyway. Hopefully Tabitha can sort of hear me still or watch it on the replay. Tabitha, your dad was sharing with me the fact that he felt that it was time for you to start sort of getting up and finding some new things, some new opportunities. He wants you to sort of step out of your comfort zone a bit this year, and also try and bring a little bit of fun and frivolity back into your life, sort of do some of the things that he used to do, like move the chair. He wants you to sort of start, he's handing the reins over to you to start being more like him. Doing some of the things that you love so much about him will sort of help you feel closer to him, but I can guarantee you and assure you he's always there with you. So it's very, very interesting that both of our callers were looking for some sort of confirmation with parents that have passed over. And I suppose it's probably a little bit more prevalent at this time of the year where, as I said earlier in the show, where we do sort of really sort of want to connect with people that have passed over. We find it difficult sometimes to not so much let go, but to sort of adjust to life without them. And it is a difficult time of the year, and the holiday season always brings this more to the forefront than any other time of the year, I think, because whether it was 12 months, 2 years or 30 years ago, we still remember people that were once in our lives that were so important, that were so special and are no longer with us. And I don't know about you guys, but I know from the people that I work with around the world, this particular holiday season, for some reason, seemed to be more amplified than normal. I had more people messaging me saying, why is it so difficult this year, Amanda? It's been 12 years since I lost so-and-so. And why am I feeling it more as if it's only just happened? Look, I think there's all different stages of grief and different times where we have our own personal bus timetable, as I call it, where some years are more difficult than others for all of us. And it's not necessarily can we put it down on a calendar and say, okay, the 4th year or the 10th year or whatever. For each and every one of us, it's a very different bus timetable for each and every one of us. Can I suggest, if you are struggling with loss, even if it's not a recent loss, get yourself a copy of a book called On Death and Dying by Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. She's no longer with us now, but Dr. Ross was one of the world's most pronounced and forefront researchers and persons that worked with grief all her life. I found her books extremely comforting. It's a book I still recommend to this day. It's like your Bible for anybody that's been through grief or is going to go through grief. You can just flick it open and get comfort on any random page. But she also explains to you the stages of grief and what to do and how to work through them, that we are all individual. We all grieve and we all let go at a different rate. And don't think just because it's been past 10 years that somebody doesn't have those bad days. Still, they do. They're not as frequent as they were at the very beginning. But the most important thing that you can do for somebody that you know that might be going through grief is let them talk. Even if they cry, even if they get upset, the most important thing that you can do is be there for them and let them talk. The more they talk, the more they cry, the more healing that's going on. And it's one of those things we tend to sort of, as human beings, try and avoid being around somebody that's had a loss. We do the immediate thing. We go to the ceremonies and do all those sort of things, and then all of a sudden we leave them alone. And that's when they need us the most. And it's just by being there, letting them talk, letting them cry, letting them go down memory lanes, whatever it takes. is the most important thing. And remember that to them, that person is still incredibly important. Just because they're no longer with us doesn't mean that we shouldn't honour them or we shouldn't respect them. I'm a big person in believing that we all need to be able to celebrate and remember our loved ones at particularly times like this. And I always have a candle and a spare seat at the Christmas table for my dearly departed ones. It's getting pretty crowded on that chair now, I might add. But it's my way of honouring those people, and it also, I think, makes everybody that joins us at the Christmas table or the New Year's table remember those in their own way, without us necessarily having to have a big conversation about it. But we have a tradition in our house where we all try and remember something funny or something that was important about that person and bring them into the conversation over the festive table. So maybe you can find your own little ways of forming some traditions or setting down ways to honour those that are no longer with us. And this will bring you some sort of comfort, but it also encourages the younger generation to understand that it's something that we can all talk about, we should all share in, and make it a normal part of life, not something to be feared. So on that note, I wish you a very, very happy and prosperous 2020. And I look forward to working with you again throughout 2020 here on the show, here on A1R Psychic Radio on Moonstruck TV. Happy New Year.